As you can imagine, word-wise, I was a bit stuck. Vagina was out, the Beeb thought it was even ruder, and I thought it was a touch clinical for a full-tilt comedy throwdown, you know? To get the gag rhythm, you know. Now, at this point, in this monstrously fatuous debate, something emerged that shocked me. Sounds a bit rude, bit of a doodle. I pointed out to the BBC that I'm allowed to say todger and knob. Oh, yes, they said. Todgers and knobs are not nearly so shocking. You can say that after 9:30, practically compulsory after 9:30. Unfortunately, this did not help the routine, because it's a bit difficult to shove a Dutch cap up a todger. It was becoming clear that there was a greater set of taboos surrounding female biology than male. It seems that while male tackle references are acceptable, oh yes, very boysy, locker room, pat on the back, female tackle references are too rude and shocking. Just as it is still considered too upsetting to advertise tampons on main channel ITV. Now, if men menstruated, it'd be a topic for after-dinner conversation, wouldn't it? Because men talk about all their bodily functions, don't they? Oh, curry last night, Gandhi's revenge, eh? Nobody walked behind me. Well, we'd be chatting about our periods, wouldn't we, eh? It was a marvellous sunny day. I just strolled out of the pavilion to bat, and would you believe it, my period started. Boasting about how heavy their flow was. Blimey! I was bleeding last night. What? Nearly fainted. That's nothing. I had to have a blood transfusion. What? You should see the size of my pads. It's like sitting on a breeze block. That's on the TV. Macho Man pads for a man-sized period. Yeah. And so, the debate began to find a euphemism for fanny. Me, a few of the guys from the BBC, a few beers, spending licence payers' money, trying to think of a user-friendly term for the female front bottom, so that the British public might be spared the shock. Do you know what we came up with? Toot toot. It's true. Sitting around, toot toot. That would not shock, we agreed, and we were right, because no one would have had the faintest idea what a toot toot was supposed to be. I'll be going on about shoving a cap up your toot toot, and there'll be millions of women sat at home saying he's got that completely wrong. Supposed to stick it up your fanny, I'm sure, as it's The problem is, of course, not sex, but attitudes to sex. No wonder we're all messed up in our brains. We're incapable of being honest about ourselves. On the one hand, we deny the reality like caps, tampons and general squelchiness. On the other hand, we create an absurd myth as to what sex and sexuality ought to be. From how we look to what we are, we pursue an unattainable ideal. You only have to look at the world of fashion to see the distance between myth and reality. We took a few real fashion designs from the clothes show's fashion predictions for 1990, took them off the godlike creatures on the catwalk and put them on a farty.
Sorry, sir, not without a tie.
Actually, I've got to be honest, I don't think they look any worse on me. There are two types of sex in the world. There is media sex, which takes place in the movies, the books, the magazines, the erotic poetry. In this world, there are no problems, no embarrassment, and it all goes on for 9.5 weeks. That's media sex. And then, back across the cosmic, chasmic reality gap, there is real sex, which is what we do, which is not a bit like media sex at all, because it's a bit squelchy and a bit grunty, and there's dampness and areas of crispness, and it's all embarrassing. Except it's nice for all that, especially if you love your partner. Sadly, our kind of sex, fartist sex, is constantly belittled and demeaned by media sex. A Bond movie. Roger Moore, honestly, right? He's popped his Zimmer frame behind the door, he's removed his surgical truss, he's staggered across the room. And he's got his arm round his current Bond girl. Now, what happens next? Does his arm start to ache, but he can't wrestle it out from under her without breaking the moment? And anyway, his skin's now stuck to hers, so if he moves an inch, he'll flay them both alive. No! Never happens in the movies. Reality, embarrassment, humility, humanity, it's never allowed to intrude. The pubic hair is a central fact of human existence. They serve no other purpose except to embarrass the hell out of us. But not in the movies, no. In the movies, they're all glued down. The rest of us, you drop your knickers, ping, 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 they're off. Free at last, free at last. Out of that gusset at last. They're all over the house. One of them jumps in the butter dish 5 minutes before your mum comes round. Another hides in the soap dish. Where's the soap, mum? Under the pile of pubes, where it always is. But not in the movies, no. The movies are endless images of perfection that we can never be, to make us feel small and inadequate. In the movies, toot toots never blow raspberries. You never heard it. It never happened. Never. The tiniest little embarrassing noise to intrude on the po-faced, humorless sanity of the movie media porn sex. Kim Basinger was doing it for 9.5 weeks. Blimey, didn't she have to work in the morning? For most of us, 9.5 minutes is a major erotic excursion, let's face it. This woman did it on the kitchen table, she did it in the attic, she took it there, she took it there. Most women don't know whether the G-spot actually exists. She's got them all over her body. You've only got to tap her on the shoulder, she has 15 multiple orgasms. 9.5 weeks, her sheets must have been so soggy Mrs. Thatcher could have privatised them. But never once did any embarrassing squelches shatter the stillness. Not once did her toot, toot, toot. What's wrong with her? Not once did she salute the 15th multiple orgasm with a great, joyous, life-enhancing, gusset-shattering raspberry that sent her lover's willy twanging like a Jew's harp. You never saw Kim's sheets flapping like a sail in a transatlantic race, did you? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm aware that this is a bit of a rude routine, but no wonder we all feel inadequate. I mean, we think we're the only ones who have problems because real sex is something that we deal with alone with our partners. The myth of sex we share with the rest of the world. We all got to see the same films, but when reality intrudes, we have to survive alone. And it's difficult. Let's face it, the first time a toot toot toots, it's a shock. Of course it is. Nobody's warned you. Not your mum, not the movies, not sex education. I mean, everything's nice, it's going nice. And then, what was that? What was that? I don't know. Well, it wasn't me. Well, it wasn't me. I'm telling you, it wasn't me. Ah, there's a burglar in the room. The media sex conspiracy makes us believe that superhuman sexual powers are the norm. And we, personally, are the only little farties who can't do it that well. In the movies, the male party of the first part has 20/20 vision. It knows where it's going. It never misses. First attempt, boing, 180. You never heard Kim Basinger shout, not there, up a bit. Now then, Val Dudican never found that sort of thing necessary. No, because we have constructed images from men and women that we can never live up to. Why can't we be honest about ourselves? If you make love, it's going to come out at some point, right? Never happens in the movies. Never happens to Tom Cruise. I'll tell you why. Because Tom Cruise's knob's got Velcro on the end. We've all played the game. The old damp patch shuffle. Who's going to sleep in the damp patch? We've all played it. Everyone's got their tricks. Lads, they've got their tricks. That marvellous final hug. Oh, darling, I really love you. Girls have got their tricks as well. Ben, get us a glass of water. Oh, all right. Thump! 2 seconds later, here's your water, fast asleep. Strange coincidence. It's all a media myth. to make us feel small and inadequate. And it's not just the movies, it's everywhere. Magazines, Cosmos Sex Quiz. You know the Cosmos Sex Quiz? You know, all these things. You're going to do the ironing, stuff to do. Now I'll fill in the Cosmos Sex Quiz, right? So, here you go. How many positions do you and your partner assume? You're going, oh my, it's only 2, but I'll put 3. I don't want to get a farty score, you know. Oh, you lot thinking, blimey, Ben, 2, that sounds a bit adventurous. What's your other one then? Go on, tell us. This whole business of erotic positions is another media myth. I mean, all of us thinking that we're boring because we don't do it swinging from the chandelier. The Kama Sutra, it's a myth. 86 positions, I'm telling you. The last 80 are all the same except with earmuffs on and your fingers crossed. Good section about love, not about what positions you can assume. I mean, you learn that as you get older. I remember when I was a student, you want to experiment. Like all other students, me and my girlfriend, we bought The Joy of Sex. That bloody book! What a con! Full of these pictures, drawings, you note, of this bearded hippie with his girlfriend and a spine made of rubber. Those positions, you need to be Olga Korbich. You try that and your spine will break, I'm telling you. I think the book was written by a conspiracy of osteopaths. Hold on, put it back out. Joy of Sex, yeah, doctor, can you get it back in position? I'll tell you why the missionary position is the most popular heterosexual position. It's not because we're all boring and dull and unimaginative. It's because it's the only one anyone can flipping do, that's why. If they want to give advice about sex, they should advise us on things we need to know. I mean, there's this obsession with spurious virility, you know? Why should men always be pretending they're Rambo? Why should they? Oh, the embarrassment if it doesn't stay up the full course. I mean, in no other part of the body do you put such emotional investment. If you're picking things up and your arms go a bit tired and flop, you don't consider you no longer have the right to call yourself a man, do you? Never mind about the times when it won't stay up. What about the time, a bit of real advice, the one bit of advice you need, the time it won't go down again? How are you supposed to deal with that situation? I'll show you how. Here's a little tip from Ben's Farty's Sex Guide. How to have a hit wee when you are unfortunately upstanding. Here we go. What an idiot I am, eh? I wrote that whole routine so I could show you I can walk on my hands, eh? Well, no doubt there will be objections to that routine. But I believe with the seas rising and the ozone layer disappearing, the more we stop playing God and remind ourselves how small and inadequate we are, the less damage we're likely to do. Nothing like justifying a load of good knob gags with a bit of politics, eh? I'd like to thank everybody that's worked with me on this series. They've been absolutely incredible. I'd like to thank the BBC for giving me the work. My name's Ben Elton. Thank you, and...
Good night.